Well, hopeless are people that haven't talked to family members for years, people who haven't been in contact with their children, or have left children with people that are unsafe, and they carry that guilt and shame, the anger of stealing from friends, the shame of stealing from friends. Those are very specifics, and clients have that when they come here. They come from families, a lot of are survivors, and they're not quite sure how to handle a lot of the emotions that start coming up because they start remembering some things that happened from their past. And then when they begin to heal and they come into recovery, what happens is not only do they start to feel better, but they start to get the tools where they can handle thoughts and memories and emotions and feelings. And that is very empowering, very, very empowering.
Chaos, totally chaos. Because I was just one of those people that that always believed that if I don't have to pay rent, I was living on my car, and if I don't have to pay rent, you know, I can support my habit. I can buy more drugs for myself, and I was not responsible. And that's one of the things that was really hard for me. You know, it was chaotic, and I didn't want it to fix nothing, and I believe that that's what life had for me, so I didn't want it to, or I was not planning to change nothing, because that's what life was all about, you know, chaotic thing.
In particular, one client came, she had a mouthful of decayed teeth, all black. She had all black on and old clothes, and she had this very thin black garment. She had no clothes. It was the middle of winter. It was very cold when she started the program. She hung her head down in shame. She was very, very thin, sickly thin, a face marked with acne from the methamphetamine use. She had a child with disabilities who she had neglected and left behind, left a very abusive relationship. A man almost tried to kill her, as a matter of fact. So she came carrying a lot of the worries of the world on her shoulders, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And she blossomed. Through some funding, she got teeth, she started to heal, she started to walk in pride. She reconnected with her son, and she's become a real advocacy for handicapped children. And she's been welcomed to a lot of the organizations. She created pamphlets and flyers. She's actively involved in her alumni group, helping others, became active in groups, in mentoring others. And in AA, she was very active in sharing her hope, her strength, hope, and experience. And a lot of people used to go up to her and say, wow, if you can walk through this. And she owns completely that she used while she was pregnant. And she just learned how to carry that and help her son with grace and dignity. We call that making living amends. And she was a living example of that, because she can't prove completely, but she really believed, and the doctors sort of supported her belief that her use had a lot to do with some of his disabilities. And he will go through that the rest of his life. So, so how do you handle something like that, you know? How do you face that sober? And she was one of those examples that did that with grace and dignity. She did an amazing job.
It's an extremely rewarding program, but it's also a really hard program. Reminds me very much of being a parent. It has the best of everything. You get the best, but you also see the worst.
Hardest part of drug court when I first came in was being honest. I was an addict for over 30 years, and my whole entire life was revolved around lying, stealing, and manipulating to get and use my drugs of choice.
What was hard about drug court? It was hard to follow the rules, because that's one of the things that I didn't have any rules when I was living on the street. I didn't have no responsibilities when I was living on the street. I had to be honest. I don't have to do this. I don't have to, and they told me that I have to do a lot of stuff, and that's to follow the rules. That was the most hardest thing for me.
We ask them to make significant life changes when they come into drug court. Many times we have to have them have no contact with people who have been their friends because they're people they've used with. We require them to work. For many of them, that's new. We require them to engage in treatment on a daily basis. We also require them to have random UAs to make sure that they are not using.